Hi guys, so I have a quick video to kind of guide you through some work and to give you instructions as we move on towards the beginning stages of your final essay. Okay, remember this is a research argument essay. I think there's a minimum word requirement of 2,000 words, so it's a little bit longer, more developed, and a minimum of 4 sources as you go through, which means in-text citation and the works cited page are going to be a big issue with this. You can't write these without those things, so please keep that in mind as you're going forward. But before you begin that, actually, let me give you a real quick reminder before we get off on that, go off on our instructions. For Monday's class, I asked you guys to work on revision. Please be sure that you submit your revisions not via email, but in Blackboard. You have unlimited submissions there, and it will update me as to which is the most recent. That's where we want to store everything, keep it all in one place, so please make sure you do that. If you were submitting a journal, then it would have been due today. If you're submitting a revision of your essay, you can submit it today, but if you needed a little bit more time, I said you can submit on Friday. Just make sure you send me an email today that tells me what you've done and what you think you have left to do on that revision before you submit it to me. Please don't take longer than a week for a revision because that means you're spending too much time. Go ahead and change what you think you need to change, get it in. If you need to revise it again, I'll give you comments to direct you, but too much changing all at once may actually make it worse instead of better. You can get stuck in your head when you're working on stuff. So please keep that in mind. All right, now we were on our final research argument essay, and like I said, it's going to have a lot more sources. And so we watched a video about synthesizing sources on, I think it might have been 2 class periods back. I want to remind you about that just a little bit because I made an offer. I said, if you guys wrote a research matrix of your own, and submitted that with along with your outline and your pre-writing and your other work for your final essay, then I want to give you an extra 10 points, which is a letter grade, right? So it can bump your letter grade up bump your final grade up an entire letter grade if you do that work. It also makes writing the paper so much more easier. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I gave you guys a template for that. It's in the same announcement, and it will look like this. It's a little, see all the boxes there. I gave it to you in a Word document. That's because I want you to type it, not to write it in. If you're typing it, that means that when you go to write your essay, you don't have to like type it for the first time. You just go and copy paste it, copy it from your template, and then put it into your essay where you need it to be. You've got that evidence there for it, right? Because this is basically organizing your evidence. So keep that in mind. Type it, don't write it. And then you've got all of that work done in advance. But it gives you some sections to record, author and date. That means that it's helping you with your in-text citation. Main point of essay, you might want to introduce it in the essay, so keep that in mind. Maybe you don't, but maybe you do. Key evidence in the essay, that will definitely go into your essays. Major discussion points, not only will that likely go into your essays, that may help you shape your thesis in some way, right, and your topic sentences. And then your response or your evaluation. If you fill in those blocks for every single one of your sources, you've got all of that information all in one document, and you can copy paste it directly into your essay as you need it. But it will also help you visualize where they agree, where they disagree, where the topics even occur again and again and again, right? Hopefully, if you've chosen good sources and you've also chosen good sort of focuses for the topic that you're looking at, then they'll all address similar key points across them. They may disagree in which side they take on that stance. That's perfectly fine. That helps you shape your opinion a little bit better, all right? But use this research outline. And remember that we're approaching this a little bit differently, okay? You should go into your research with a topic in mind. So if your topic is abortion or illegal immigration or maybe it's the legalization of marijuana, those are topics. That's not a stance, it's a topic. It's just an issue, right? Your thesis has a topic, a stance, and then direction. Your stance is a requirement of the thesis, which means that abortion is your topic. You either agree or you disagree with it. You're either pro-life or pro-choice, okay? That's your stance. Your reasons are going to be why you are pro-life or pro-choice, all right? Whatever those reasons are, they're coming from the essays in this case. You're using that to support and evaluate whether you agree or disagree, because that's the discussion that's out there, right? So don't try to go into it with an entire thesis in mind. It will make it too hard to support for your paper. You won't get enough information. That's too focused, right? Your research should begin with a little bit more general, broad opinion on it. Allow that to shape it. And the benefit of this, a lot of people struggled finding evidence to support their ideas. That's because they went into it with a full sort of reasoning behind their opinion before they actually wrote the paper. And the downside to that was most of the debates didn't focus on that particular reason, so they couldn't find support for it, right? The other thing they struggled with was either nuancing an argument, finding the other sort of key points that build and build and build and develop, or with articulating their reasoning behind it. That happened quite a lot too. It will be easier to articulate your reasoning if you see other people doing the same thing, right? These are not new debates. They've been going on for a long time. These people are credible, relevant, right? If you've chosen your sources well, then the discussion will be valid enough that you can use it to shape what you have to say. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's what research is about, right? It's about understanding that these conversations are ongoing. You're inserting yourself into it. Now, that doesn't mean that you're just summarizing what's there. You're looking at what's there, and from there you're saying, oh, okay, I agree for this reason. I agree for this reason. I kind of don't agree here. I'm going to concede the other side there, right? That's where you're adding in your own sort of views of that. That's where your evaluation in the final box, which is over here, I think, becomes so important. So read your sources, get all that information down, and then respond. I agree because of this. I disagree because of this. I think they left this part out, right? Put those in there. And then in this section is where you've got all of your topic sentences right there, right? So you've got all that work done for you in advance. Now, the second document that I'm giving you guys, you always have to write an outline. It's a requirement, an organization requirement for all of our major essays. I want you to fill in a specific outline this time. It's geared specifically for arguments and research essays, right? It will look like this. The first page will include a section where you can build your thesis statement based on what you've read. It will break it down into those three parts. That is the template that we've kind of been using as we follow: topic, stance, and then the reasoning. So have that there. Every sort of body paragraph will include a sort of format behind it where you have a concession at the top. So if you have an opinion, but you'll concede some aspect, you can put that there just to remind yourself. Then you'll have your topic. And then when you look at here, this is the evidence. It says reasoning for support of thesis stance. And then it says evidence from source. And you put the source in right here. That's because I don't want you using, if all three of these are from one source and it's all one paragraph, then that means you've not really balanced out your information. You've not used synthesis for that, right? But if you have evidence from one source and your third source, and then you go back to your first source, that's okay, because you kind of balance it out across, and you can use 2 and 4 in your next paragraph, right? But if you're using only one source across all of your evidence, you've got a problem. So please make sure that you're using this to guide whether you're synthesizing your information and balancing it out, right? And I do want you to make sure that you have evidence from the sources. That was another problem that students had. You relied very heavily on your own opinion. Remember, it's important that you are shaping your opinion and that you're able to do that based on the information that you have. But that happens in your topic sentence, that happens in your explanations, that happens sometimes in your transitional phrases, but even less there. Mostly it's in your thesis, it's in your topic sentences, and in your explanations of the evidence, right? That's where that occurs. It's not really in the evidence itself. That should come from the sources that you're using. Don't rely on your personal experience. This is a research essay, all right? So make sure that you're using your sources to get your information from it. If you do that, then you will have an easy time when you go to write your essay. And if you have these two documents, the outline and the research matrix with you, then there's no reason that you can't sit down and write this essay in one day in just a few hours, okay? Because it organizes everything and keeps it all together. It means you've done a lot of the work before you even begin. That's why writing is a process. Yay! Okay, so please make sure that you are taking these steps and using these documents. And again, though I do want them, when you submit the final essay, remember that I want them typed. It will make it easier for you in the long run. Don't handwrite them, okay? And that's why they're in a Word document instead of a PDF, and everybody should have one. All right, good luck.